Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. I am in the boat, rigging up a few rods, getting ready for the next Bass Open on Kentucky Lake. I leave in the morning. I gotta have some of this stuff ready, and I gotta tell you, it's been a hectic, basically really a little over a week since I got home from Sam Rayburn, because I went from Rayburn, did some filming with Johnny down in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Got home and there's just a lot of things going on around the house that had to get taken care of as well. And that left me with very, very little time to get prepped and ready for Kentucky Lake. Now I have been watching the weather during that time frame from Sam Rayburn on. Major storms, major fronts went through the central part of the country. Kentucky Lake went from being several feet below full pool to several feet above full pool, and they've since drawn it back down to several feet below full pool. And the whole lake is muddy right now. The whole lake has an insane amount of current being pulled through it. It's going to be an interesting derby. You know, I do expect the water to start clearing up. I expect the current to slow down. I expect the water level to stabilize. And it could be a good bite. At the same time, we've had such cold water that I'm sure there's been a shad die-off that occurred. So those fish have been gorging themselves. So it could also be an extremely tough bite if the water stays muddy, if the current stops for some reason, if they keep drawing the water level down. A lot of variables going into this one. I really do think this is going to be an event where you're going to see a lot of people do very well and a lot of people do very, very poorly. And by poorly, I mean catch one or two fish. And I'm not sure what to expect. I have not been to Kentucky Lake before, really outside of the ledge period, the ledge season, which is like May, June, July-ish. I was at Kentucky Lake one time during college, roughly the same time of year. I went for a spring break trip. We took our 16-foot sea nymph, and we actually caught some really nice fish that time. So I'm kind of hoping that some of that stuff I learned from then, even though I wasn't nearly as good and experienced of an angler, I do think some of that actually might pan out pretty well. So I'm hoping I can relate on some of that. Now at the same time, I do also recall when I was there, the water was gin clear, the water was low, like it was stable, good, solid conditions. My guess is the water is going to be in that mid 40s, maybe not, maybe a little bit more, but it's going to be cold winter conditions. So I'm excited to see how this goes down. One of the issues with this, though, is I do think that you're going to have almost any technique that you want to fish could come into play. Now, remember, Kentucky Lake is 130 miles long. We're launching kind of right in the middle of it. So if you want to fish the north end, you can do it. You want to fish some of the southern stuff, you can do it. You're really going to be able to do almost anything you want. I think both largemouth and smallmouth are going to be a factor in this event. So the negative with that is it means I've got a ton of tackle rigged up. Some of the stuff I could kind of carry over from Rayburn. Some of it I had to completely set up and start over with. So just to walk you through some of the baits that I think are going to be a player, really in no particular order. I could see any of these being very good. Obviously, you know, I'm going to have a couple of minnows tied on because I do think we're going to see the ability to potentially scope a few fish. Now, I don't think that this is going to be scoping in terms of suspended fish. Yes, that still might be a player, but I think you're going to see more guys scoping targets versus actually looking for the fish. But scoping is still going to be a major, major factor. Along with that, I do think I've got the Core Tackle Weedless Wacky rigged up. I don't have a bait on it yet, but I'll probably just throw a Max Scent General on there. I do think that that could be a player if you are throwing at some isolated targets. I've also got, what do we got? This is a carryover from Rayburn, the Zoom Brush Hog on a Carolina rig. You know, it could be one of those events with the cold water where the fish just aren't moving much. And if you can find an area where the fish are holding, you can really slow down and kind of milk that area. Because again, I think 5 keeper bites a day is actually going to be pretty solid in this tournament. Then it's hard to go to any lake with water temperatures that are this cool without a couple of jerk baits. So I've got 2 Berkley Stunna 112 plus ones. Now I've got a whole ton of various stunnas to bring with me because I think the +2s could be a player. I think the little hundreds could be a player. And with the water conditions being varied, I've got table rock shad and what is this, hanky panky tied up. They're both a little bit more for your stained water. Now, obviously I'll adjust if needed, but I think those will be two good players to start with. I also think there's the potential for a crankbait bite. So I've got two cranks on. I've got a dime 6 and vanilla chartreuse, and I've got a dime 6. This is the swamp craw, and a dime 10. These are both Berkeley's. The vanilla chartreuse, again, both of these kind of more your off-colored water crankbaits, because that's what I'm expecting to find based on what I've been seeing. Then obviously I got to have a couple of vibrating jigs. This is a carryover again from what I was throwing. Both of these actually, I've just got two vibrating jigs. These are the jackhammers, and I got power stinger on the back. Those, I don't know. I mean, I think a vibrating jig could be a player. It just kind of really depends on if there's some fish that are up shallower. I generally don't like to throw the vibrating jigs just out in open water. But I think with the watercolor, and if we get some warming conditions, I could see that being a player. Again, those are carryovers. I'm just leaving them rigged up. I also got the War Panda glide bait. This is Kurt Mitchell's, rigged up. That's a carryover as well from Rayburn. That's the type of thing where, you know, Kentucky Lakes, the numbers aren't there like they used to be, but the size is big. You know, there's a lot of 3 to 6 pound class fish in that lake, so that's a good one. I've got a lipless. I think a lipless could be a player. Again, this is carryover from Sam Rayburn. That's just the Excalibur one knocker. I'm not sure the ghost color is going to be the one I want, but I'm just leaving it rigged up because I really don't know what it's going to look like when I get there. We've got a Picasso tungsten football jig rigged up, chartreuse with black and blue. That, I think, again, could kind of be similar to the Carolina rig. If I find an area that I think the fish are holding to, I'm not going to be afraid to slow down and milk that area. Football jig, Carolina rig, both those are great early spring, late winter baits. And then, last but not least, I have a couple of tushes rigged up. Both of these are the 7/0. I got a 3/4 ounce core tackle tush, a 1/2 ounce core tackle tush in a coal shad, and then this is a D&M swim bait. I could see a swim bait being a big player, you know. Again, we're talking about better than average size fish. So I've got a little bit of everything. I've got a handful of other rods that are kind of just set up. I got a drop shot, things like that are ready to go. I have no expectations for this. Kentucky Lake has been, I don't want to say a thorn in my side, but it's always been, the whole TVA system has been like, generally there's a TVA tournament on almost every schedule every year. And I always feel like if you make it through the TVA tournament, you have a good season, but it's also one that can easily cost you. It can lead to a big stumble. So I'm hoping to go there. I'm gonna fish it like a brand new lake. I'm kind of throwing out all the stuff that I know from the ledge season on Kentucky Lake, and we're just gonna approach it as a new body of water. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna try to catch some big fish. We're gonna try to get out of there with a check, and yeah, follow along. I will definitely be trying to do practice recap videos again the day after. I think they went over really pretty well. People seem to enjoy them. Did them while I was on the water, kind of walked you through how my days went, so stay tuned for those. My members only, we're going to try to do the live stream for this month at the lake house that we're renting, so hopefully Panger or Berghoff or Blake, who's the 4th member who will be staying with us, are able to partake in that as well. So if you're not a member and you want to watch that, you should sign up to become a member. And then of course we'll have the recap videos of the actual tournament itself. I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we actually get to fish for more than one day. And the funny thing is the weather looks sketchy for the tournament days, so it would not surprise me if we get another cancellation. Anyways, that's what we got. I'm gonna end this here. I got a ton of stuff I still gotta get ready before I leave. Just wanted to fill you in on the different rods that I'll be at least starting practice with. we'll see if these baits actually pan out during the tournament or not. But thanks for watching. If you enjoyed today's video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow.